Well, when I think of a pear, I usually think of the shape, and as a matter of fact, I even find myself describing things as pear shape. But that's not the case anymore, because now there are pears that look like this, that are apple-shaped pears. And these have just been introduced into the United States over the past several years, and you can see again that they are more of an apple-shaped, but it's still a pear. But the difference is that these are Asian pears versus European pears. And Asian pears are traditionally grown in like China, Japan, and Korea, and they're very expensive because they're usually grown under high intensity, and they're showing up in the grocery stores, and you can buy these little babies for about $3 a pound, so they're very expensive. But you can also grow them in your home garden. Now the ones that we have here are Yakumo and Shojuro, and we have one that's starting to ripen up on us here. Now usually you would want to plant them about 15 to 20 feet apart. And another little difference is that it's best to train them kind of in an open center, a little bit similar to a peach. The other thing is that when you put the seedling in, say in early spring, they will start producing by the 3rd year, which is a little bit earlier than most fruit crops in Oklahoma as well. Now the other thing is they're sold as partially self-fruitful, which means that they can pollinate themselves, but it's better to plant another cultivar to get cross-pollination. You get a little bit better production. And it's also nice to know that they will cross-pollinate with our traditional European pears. So if you already have another pear, you could put one of these in and you'd be okay. Now the other difference is in pears, normally when we harvest the European pears, one like we have down here, you want to harvest the traditional pear before it turns color, when it's real firm and hard. With the Asian pears, like we have on the vine here, on the tree, you'll see they're starting to do a color change, and you actually want to leave these on the tree and let them ripen on the tree. Now this one is already starting to turn color, where there are other variety you can see is still pretty dark green and hasn't started to turn that color change yet. So these are getting pretty ripe, and we'll harvest one here and show you what they look like. Even though they look like an apple, when we cut into one, you can see it's pretty soft already, starting to turn. Even looks similar to an apple on the inside, but tastes very much like a pear, and they're very tasty. Again, you want to let them ripen on the tree. The others, it's really kind of unusual, because the other fruit, the other pears, when you take them inside, they'll actually increase in sugars if you keep them at room temperature 60, 70 degrees, let them ripen about a week. Then you can store them in the refrigerator to 30, 40 degrees. These pick just right off the tree. Now one thing we've not done is we did not thin these like we should have. We have way too many pears on here. We should have thinned them where there's one per cluster. That would have sized up a little bit better for us. But we're still going to get several, and this is our first year for production on them, so we're very excited. And there's also a commercial orchard in Oklahoma around Norman that's growing some of the Asian pears, and that's very interesting to know too. There's about 16 different cultivars of the pears, and they will get fire blight like some of our other pears and apple crops. But if you'll get the Pyrus usuriensis, and we'll have that on the screen for you, Pyrus usuriensis, there's several cultivars. Those are a little bit more tolerant to fire blight, so you may want to look for those out of the 16 that you can choose from. Now, we've had to mail order our particular ones. You may have to do the same thing too, because they're kind of new and not as easy to find. But now's the time of year to go to your garden center and request, say, hey, carry some Asian pears for us next year, and they'll have plenty of time, hopefully with enough requests, to get those in for planting next February.